Easy Rider's video number 18 winter special is busting out with snowbound bros, wild women, plus interviews with Jay Springsteen and freedom fighter Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell. First, let's rev it up for a lane-splitting ride on the Razor's Edge.
The words stuck in her throat and fluttered like a moth caught in a spider web. But the gun blast did what her stammering voice couldn't, carrying a message as blunt and as clear as the flash of a switchblade. With time suddenly measured by the beating of my hammering heart, I was gone, leaving behind only a cloud of exhaust smoke and the smell of cooked rubber. The freeway was packed, cars jammed together like drunks in a holding tank on New Year's morning. My fingers tightened around the bike's throttle like I was clutching the neck of the bastard who, God help him if she was hurt.
Now let's join thousands of bikers in Madison, Wisconsin for their annual Freedom Ride. Over 30,000 brothers and sisters came together at the state capitol building this year to celebrate Wisconsin's freedom from the helmet law and to keep it that way.
This is a helmet protest rally that we've started back around 1974. We continued them through 1978. Actually, 1977 was the last helmet rally in Wisconsin. Before the repeal of the helmet law, there were 50,000 plus bikers at that rally. I think that the neat thing about the rallies in Wisconsin is that they keep getting bigger and bigger until the repeal, and now even with the repeal and not a helmet law in Wisconsin since 1978, we're still able to draw 20 to 30 and sometimes 40,000 people at a rally in a free state.
You know, anybody that knows me in California will tell you I'm one of the most arrogant assholes that ever lived. But I gotta tell you, I'm humbled by what I've seen since I've been in Wisconsin. I'm going back to California and I'm gonna tell them what I saw in Wisconsin. I wish to hell there was a way that I could get you people to Sacramento for one afternoon. You'd scare the helmet law clear the hell off the West Coast.
I think it is absolutely necessary to let our elected officials know what we think about helmet laws. Let me ask you, you're here, what do you think of helmet laws? All right.
Getting active in the legislative process is where it's at. And we're doing it in Wisconsin. And this is the message that we got to send forth. That we are legislatively active. We participate in the political process. It's imperative.
By not staying informed, I have lost my freedom to slavery. I have decided to become informed, as I will be a slave to no man.
I came today to bring you a message, and with that message goes a warning. The message is we matter, each and every one of us. We can make a difference. The warning is what happened in California can happen anywhere if you let it. What happens in Wisconsin affects California. What happens in California affects Florida. What happens in Washington affects us all. The winds of change are blowing through this country, and they're blowing here today. All of you who took the initiative and the trouble to be here are the beginning of the next battle. You each are important, and it doesn't matter what you do as long as you do something. The smallest contribution can be the one that makes the big difference. And make no mistake, there is no neutral ground in this battle. You are either part of the solution or you are the problem.
I personally do not believe in helmets. I personally believe that helmets cause accidents. I personally believe they restrict vision, hearing, mobility of the head. Their chin strap acts as a hangman's noose. They give a false sense of security. Thank you for believing.
These laws are not about safety. These laws are about motorcycles and taking them off the road. I do not plan to see that happen because in 20 years, I'm going to be riding mine.
I'll die before I let some fat, lard-ass state legislator force me to put a helmet on my head. We are bikers.
the last free spirits of this great land.
Remember, it's not what you ride, it's what's inside.
Freedom now! Freedom now! Freedom now!
I watched the Speedo climb steadily as I ran the freeway's lethal concrete obstacle course. Ahead lay 40 miles of no man's land, as hostile and alien as a stretch of Death Valley. After that, things could get really hairy. This rescue mission demanded all the riding skills I possessed and all the horses 98 cubes could corral. I passed cars like they were sitting in a dealer's showroom. As my body filled with adrenaline, my mind filled with images of her. Even at 90 miles an hour and with 2 inches separating my knee from a fatal fender, she drifted across my worried mind. The staccato blast of the bike's drag pipes and the surrounding freeway noise came in waves, like nausea. My mouth tasted like a moldy shop rag. Through it all came one reoccurring question. Was that phone call in the night a summons to death?
Easy Riders brings you one of the fastest men on two wheels, Harley racing legend Jay Springsteen.
We're here at the Los Angeles County Fairgrounds with Jay Springsteen.
I learned how to ride a Harley Davidson in my front yard when I was 9 years old. I started racing professionally when I was 16, but when I got my factory ride with Harley Davidson, I think I was 18 years old. I was with them for about 10 or 12 years. In my career, I've won 40 nationals, and most of them was with the Harley factory. Most of the time, I'd rather ride on the mile, my XR 750. I feel more comfortable riding my XR, mostly on the mile races. You got a little bit more time to think and stuff, and then half miles, everything, the reactions are a lot quicker and everything. Oh, here at Pomona, you're probably going about 130 down the straightaway. On the full mile race, and this is only a half mile, 5/8 here, but on the mile races, you're probably going about 135 to 140 mile an hour. So this is, like I said, it's only a 5/8 mile. So you're not going quite at top speed as like you do on the full mile.
You're a badass, buddy. Let's put that bill on. Yeah.
My name is Jim Kelly. I have a small shop in Long Beach where I build and maintain these motorcycles. They are hand-built motorcycles starting from a set of bare cases and build up into a complete motorcycle. Some of the pieces are purchased and used as is. Most of them are modified. It's a pointless ignition supplied by Harley Davidson, but it's what they call a motoplat, which is a rotor and a stator. It's pointless, and there's a separate ignition system for each cylinder. Each one runs independently of the other. The timing can be set on each cylinder independently, and it has to run a coil and 2 kill buttons because there are 2 separate ignition systems. It used to be just 1 spark plug per cylinder. We used to modify the early heads to put a second spark plug in. Harley Davidson learned from our experience that the 2 spark plugs gave you better ignition of the fuel. These cams are all very adjustable. You have to saw them apart and re-weld them after you move them. Cam timing is something that everybody plays with. Best thing to do is on a dyno, try different cam timing and see where you come out. The pistons are a piston supplied by Harley Davidson. They're manufactured in England by Cosworth. They're a high dome piston. When we get them, we have to spend probably 8 to 12 hours modifying the dome of the piston to suit our application, depending on the size of the combustion chamber and obtain the proper compression ratio that we're looking for, get the proper valve clearance, things like that. We change the valves. We run a titanium intake and exhaust valve, which are flat face valves, whereas the stock Harley valves are a dish valve. So the dome in the piston in the valve pocket has to be machined out, and it takes roughly 10 to 12 hours to do 1 piston. This year we're using a Blanchard ground stainless steel plate that is issued by the AMA to each motorcycle prior to the race. They're a 33 millimeter stainless steel restrictor plate. When you make the final, they inspect it to make sure they are in place, and every time you come in off the racetrack, after anything that puts you in the final, they're looked at. They also measure the bore of the carburetor and also the bore of the intake manifold. The pipes go into a register in the front portion that heads in the exhaust port. There's no way to bolt them on, so we hold them on with springs, which are just a standard Harley part, and it makes them very, very quick to remove. They're good and solid. They don't move. Works very well. The gearing is something that varies from track to track. We pretty well know about where to start. We generally carry gearing from, say, 37 up through 55. We can break teeth in half by changing countershaft sprocket and stay very close to where we want to be. These shocks are white power that have the same basic adjustments that the front end has, top and bottom, for rebound and compression damping.
The wheels, they look like they're aluminum wheels. Are those Performance Machine
The
wheels?
Performance Machine, who is one of our sponsors this year. They have supplied us with wheels and brakes. It's a hand-built frame built by a fellow by the name of Terry Knight up in Oregon. They're made out of chromoly tubing, and I would venture to say probably better than 70% of the bikes here today were built by Terry Knight. The dampener is an Olean dampener. What it does, it slows down the front end from going into any kind of a wobble should there be vibrations set up coming down the chutes. And it slows it down to where the bike runs more steady and true.
You have to start at a young age. You know, I started racing motorcycles when I was 9 years old. And, you know, it takes a lot of time to adapt to a motorcycle and just be able to get the feeling of it and, you know, your riding style. And to me, a lot of things have come natural. A lot of people have told me that. Back in the days when I was coming up, there was a lot of good racers. And now I think there's just a handful of guys that can really do good. And, you know, it's going to take a few years for these other guys to start coming up and be able to compete with us and be good racers.
People all of a sudden, they look at me and they think I'm a mass murderer, you know, and that pisses me off, because I don't do it anymore. No, it's never guys that look like me that always do that shit, you know. If you watch the news real close, you'll notice it's always a clean-cut guy, right? Nice guy. And they always interview his neighbor, don't they? And they always say the same shit. He was the nicest man. He painted all the houses on the block for free. He baked brownies for the entire neighborhood. I can't believe he cut the heads off of 80 people on a bus.
And now, burning rubber around the globe, it's time for a special winter edition of Two-Wheeler Update. Dateline, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Local Abate chapters sponsored their 12th annual toy run last November, benefiting the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. The turnout of bikin' bros was unbelievable. Thousands of Harley sleds showed up carrying toys and donations. The bikers turned Broad Street and Shelton Avenue into a sea of black leather and chrome.
We're out of room already. Should have rained.
Never thought it would have come to this after starting this 12 years ago. There was like 75 of us.
It's the only time of the year that I'm good.
And it's clear. The only thing we have now is a little traffic from the march.
Okay.
So we're okay. Anytime you want to leave, anytime you get down that way, it'll be clear.
Okay, good.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Just after noon, a Softail riding Santa and his police escort led the run on an hour-and-a-half frosty ride to the hospital. Riders came from as far away as Delaware Valley, Maryland, Virginia, and Ohio to join in the Christmas cheer for a good cause. Not counting this event, Abate of PA and the Bikers of Pennsylvania have donated more than 75,000 new toys to hospital patients over the years. Harleys continued to pull into the hospital parking lot most of the day, and it only took one look at the smiling faces of all those kids to put the spirit of Christmas in every biker's heart. We caught up with the president and CEO of the Children's Hospital, Ed Notford, who had this to say.
How does the CEO of a hospital end up on a Harley leading one of the biggest toy runs in the country?
Well, I've been riding Harley, Mickey, for about 36 years, ever since I was a little kid. And it just seems like the thing to do. There are a lot of children here at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and a lot of them are very, very sick. And I think that bikers from everywhere have real sensitive feelings for children, and that's what this really represents, is the bikers expressing their feelings and concern for children that aren't well, coming out and showing the kids how much they care.
How do you feel about all the bikers who showed up today?
There's a lot of them, and pretty special.
Howdy, I'm Jill Z. McGuire. We're right here in downtown, beautiful Missoula, Montana, America. It's New Year's Day, and we do dare to be dumb. And here's Peeper to tell you all about it. What are you doing here today, Peeper?
Well, we're out riding our bikes. We've been doing this for 9 years, officially, and of course we've been doing this off and on for the last whenever biking started. You know, riding in the snow is nothing new. Harley-Davidson's provided lots of accessory items way back in the early catalogs for riding in cold weather. So we're just keeping up an old tradition that seems to have lapsed in modern times because, you know, modern people are lazy. They sit around and watch football, which bores me to death. So instead of sitting around on the couch, feet up, we're out riding our bikes. I mean, what better way to start a new year than to ride your motorcycle?
Keeping warm for Montana's New Year's Day ride was no easy task. A Bait of Montana and the Montana Legends MC sponsored the day-long event. The group met at the Iron Horse Brewery in downtown Missoula to ride 12 bone-chilling miles to Milltown.
It's getting really warm. I can feel the Chinook coming any minute now. You gotta be some kind of clown to go on a ride like this.
Awards were given to the riders who traveled farthest to be at the New Year's event. Check these frozen dudes out.
Where are y'all from?
Shelby.
How far is that from here? How far did you come today for the run?
230 miles.
230 miles?
230.
Snow or no snow, these brothers and sisters in Montana sure know how to have a hell of a good time. Who loves rock and roll, root beer, and riding their custom hogs through the cosmos? It's none other than the Biker Mice from Mars, coming to an earthly television near you this September. Meet the rowdy rodents who have come to take over our planet in the best Ninja Turtle tradition. They are Throttle, Moto, and Vinny, 3 out-of-this-world biker mice from the brain of executive producer Rick Unger of Marvel Productions. Biker Mice from Mars will follow in the footsteps of Rick's other animated hit, X-Men. The mice will be seen in 90% of the country and have already been signed as the latest action line for Galoob Toys. Look for everything from Biker Mice video games to boxer shorts invading stores in time for Christmas. And now, a few words about easyrider's freedom fight and the latest on the continuing helmet law battle in California from biker attorney Skip Raring.
We recently filed a lawsuit for easyrider freedom fight and 14 other plaintiffs against Maurice Hannigan, Commissioner of the California Highway Patrol, and 2 other law enforcement agencies. This suit for injunction and declaratory relief seeks to stop the unconstitutional enforcement of helmet laws. All helmet laws must follow a federal statute which preempts state law. Under the federal statute, bikers are only required to wear helmets bearing a dot sticker at the time of first purchase. Even though riders are wearing helmets that comply with this law, law enforcement is stopping, detaining, harassing, seizing property, and citing riders who are in compliance. These statutes violate bikers' rights to illegal search and seizure under the 4th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, along with the right to travel and the right to be free from arbitrary traffic stops. The case was filed in federal court, and a victory there can be applied nationwide. easyrider seeks to stop the discriminatory practice of law enforcement by this lawsuit.
Ray, ooh, nice. Watch the rainbow at your side.
Easy Riders recently got a chance to take a look at Harley's latest innovation for '94, the FLHR Road King. This custom cruiser features a quickly detachable windshield and removable passenger seat. A classic headlamp nacelle is reminiscent of the FLH look of the past. Harley's Road King will hit showrooms in spring of '94. Look for it in Easy Rider's December issue, on stands in November, and our new poster zine, due out in February. And what do you think of the Road King?
I think it's a beautiful bike.
Let's roll!
And that's all the news that'll fit in our saddlebag this time. Later.
Like any big city these days, this place was a battleground after dark. No place for a beautiful woman. Her image clung to my thoughts as tightly as I clutched the bike's hand grips. I cursed myself for letting her take a nighttime modeling assignment in a part of town that was scary in the daylight. The money was good, but that wouldn't be much consolation if the fat paycheck was spent to finance a funeral. Smokestacks and railroad tracks signaled the outskirts of the sinister soul of the city, a leap from the frying pan into the fire. Ironically, she and I once lived nearby. That was a lifetime ago, before the gangs moved in, before a stranger would shoot you for the change in your pocket, or just for the amusement of watching you die. The next street might be a dead end in more ways than one. There was no going back now.
Hold on tight for a special tribute to Harley's 90th anniversary celebration.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Harley Davidson. Happy birthday to you. All right.
The 90th anniversary of Harley-Davidson kicked off in June. This is the LA contingent just before they hit the road for Milwaukee.
Get over here. He tried to run away from me to go to Dunkin' Donuts.
You scare me.
Oh, right there, too. I'll shave you on the way. I look thin with beards. I like when guys wear their hormones on the outside.
What we're all participating in today is part of something even bigger than what we're at right now. Most of you know that the ride actually leaves from 10 different locations throughout North America. Yesterday, a group left from San Francisco, another group left from Vancouver, British Columbia, and there's already a group on its way in from Mexico City. The other locations, the groups led by Harley-Davidson executives will be leaving from are Edmonton, Canada, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, Augusta, Maine, Montreal, Orlando, Florida, and the group from Mexico will hook up in San Antonio, Texas, and continue on to Milwaukee. Let's start it out with $100. $100.
As the groups began their tours, they also commenced a major fundraiser for the MDA with auctions at every host city.
500. That goes quick. Come
on. Don't give up.
600.
90 years. That's a hell of a record. And this company is the only motorcycle producer in the world that can talk about 90 years. We started in '03, the same year that Orville and Wilbur were up there getting some air. And the Ford Motor Company began that time, and so it was a tremendous year for transportation.
Through wind and rain, they cut 300-mile slices across the country. This is a portion of the 90th anniversary video available at dealerships.
Here's the secret of a successful ride, especially if it's damp and cold. When you leave your motel in the morning, you take a nice clean towel with you. And you put it around your neck just like this, and you can keep really warm. And if it's really windy and blowing, you can get going about 70 and put that there, and it'll just stay there.
Kind of like Lawrence of Arabia.
And then at night, you leave this in the hotel you're staying at, dirty, and take a clean one. So really, in the whole trip, you only steal one towel.
The week-long tours from points all over the U.S., Mexico, and Canada converged on Milwaukee on Friday, the 11th of June, through crowds of enthusiastic locals waving and cheering. Saturday morning, the event climaxed. Here's local news coverage of the finale in Milwaukee.
The Thunder Herd round the world began promptly at 9 a.m. 20,000 Harley Owners Group members, or hogs, filed out of State Fair Park for the last and most memorable leg of their reunion ride. The parade lasted for 2 hours and stretched for miles and miles, past County Stadium and to 35th Street, where the hogs were greeted by hundreds of flag-waving and high-fiving fans.
What's going through your mind as you see the stream of bikers go by?
I wish one of them would give me a ride. I want to ride in a sidecar so badly.
But until then, you're going to be waving this American flag.
I will. I certainly will. Yes. I love it.
All cameras and camcorders were focused on the freeway as the procession of Milwaukee Iron roared by. The welcoming committee along Wisconsin Avenue was even more impressive. Parade goers spilled onto the avenue to show their appreciation up close. At 10:45, the second wave of Harleys shifted into gear. They had assembled in Kenosha after participating in a week-long fundraising ride that started at 10 cities across the country. They came from all walks of life, but share a common love for the open road. The great pilgrimage to the Temple of Harley-Davidson ended at the Summerfest grounds. The parking lot became a sea of iron and chrome. Inside, tens of thousands of Harley fans settled in for a day-long birthday bash.
I can't think of a better way to celebrate a birthday of the world's greatest motorcycle company. And then they have a ride across beautiful US of A. That's what it's all about.
Now, I don't condone drunk driving. I think it's a tragedy that we have drunk drivers out there. Once in a while, you know, you got to get fucking home, you know. But I do not think the answer lies in the designated driver concept. I do not believe in that. I mean, think about it logistically. You go to a party, 3 guys are getting shit-faced, 1 guy sitting over in the corner for 7 hours drinking coffee and soda. And when it's time to go, let's fucking go, man! I'm ready, let's go!
Now an exclusive interview with an all-American freedom fighter.
This southern Colorado landscape is home to Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell. As a young Native American, he grew to understand what it means to be a member of a minority while living in orphanages. He dropped out of high school, fought in the Korean War, and went on to head the U.S. Olympic judo team. Since the early 60s, Campbell has taught school, counseled inmates, and worked his way through a number of political positions to become a United States Senator. We caught up with Senator Campbell here on his ranch, where he shared his views on life, politics, and freedom.
There's an interconnectedness, kind of a spiritual interconnectedness between Indians and bikers, I think, in that you're very close to nature. Indians, for instance, were great horsemen, the ones on the plains, the ones I came from. And we still raise horses, a few, and we still ride quite often. And I get almost the same feeling on my horse out in the mountains as I do a bike on a mountain road. There's a sense of timing and rhythm. You know, when you're in stride on a horse, a loping horse, there's a sense of rhythm with your body and staying with the horse till you sort of become one. Well, when you ride a bike in these mountain roads and you develop sort of a rhythm, leaning into the curves as you move and speed and so on and sound. And I feel almost the same kind of a timing and rhythm sense, and whether it's a horseback or on a bike too. And I think that even though it might be difficult to articulate for people who maybe never rode a horse and a bike both, there's some sense inside that you feel that you might not be able to put in words, but there's a feeling that develops when you do those things. I like to think that maybe the bikers of today were the horsemen in the free spirits, whether they were cowboys or Indians, of 150 or 200 years ago. It seems to be the same kind of a mentality, just a different time. My whole family rides. My wife rides. My son and daughter ride too. And I went out to the Laughlin run this year with my daughter, and we'd been riding all day that day, and I was in the leathers, you know, just looking like a biker, and hadn't shaved, and I was all windburned, had the shades on and the whole thing, and pulled into a restaurant in Laughlin, and there was, of course, bikes everywhere. Probably 20,000 bikers were there. And I went to this restaurant, and this young lady was going to show me to my seat for a cup of coffee, and she said to me, well, there's a lot of bikers in town. I said, yeah, there's a lot of them. She said, what do you do? And I said, lady, if I told you what I do, you're not going to believe it. And she said, yeah, I'll believe it. Why not? And I said, well, I'm a United States Senator. And she said, I don't believe that. So that's an example, I think, how people have you locked in about what you ought to be based on the visual impact, and it's tough for them to think you could be anything else. Maybe that's why I understand bikers when they tell me sometimes they stopped at a motel and they saw a vacancy sign. When they went in to get a room, people inside said it was full, there was no vacancies. I understand that because I've had the same thing happen to me when I was with some of my full-blood Indian cousins when we were traveling. The sting of discrimination, regardless of where it comes from, whether you're an ethnic minority or whether you're in a group that's kind of a minority like bikers are, it kind of hurts. But it's human nature, I guess. And I don't know how to fix all that except through educating people and reasoning with them and trying to make them aware of the fact that other people also have rights, and if you're going to protect yours, we got to protect his too. I was talking to a couple of ladies the other day that were very, very pro-choice from the standpoint of birth. They were very pro-choice. And I said, listen, I'm pro-choice too, but I want to talk to you about the helmet law. Are you also pro-choice on that? If I support you, you're going to support me? And they said, oh no, people should wear helmets because they may get injured and then they become a debt on society and so on. I said, wait a minute, how can you be pro-choice about your body and you don't want to let me be pro-choice about my body? And they just could not seem to make that connection. So you can't have it both ways. You're for individual choice or you're not. That's all. The premise that the people use when they're supporting mandated helmet laws is called the public burden theory, which is based, in my opinion, on absolute bullshit. The public burden theory says if you are not insured and you get injured and therefore must be paid for through hospitalization or something, I'll have to pay it as a person who does have a policy or pays taxes if you can't. But if you use that theory, then why can't you apply the same logic to cowboys? What if a cowboy gets hurt rodeoing and he doesn't have insurance? What about skiers? A guy does skis down a mountain and he runs into a tree. It happens all the time. He could become a public burden. Kids on skateboards could become a public burden. A person diving into a pool that doesn't know how to swim can become a public burden. So you have to ask yourself, are we going to apply that same logic to everybody? We have to if we're going to be fair. Therefore, we've got to make them cowboys wear helmets. We've got to make those kids swimming wear helmets. We've got to make skiers wear helmets. We've got to make them all wear helmets. Boy, I mean, tell you, that's the beginning of the end of personal freedoms in this country. The public burden theory simply doesn't hold up unless you apply it fairly to everybody, and it can't be applied fairly to everybody. It can't be unless you want everybody to wear helmets all the time and know no matter what they're doing under the assumption they may get injured at some time. If we're going to go into that assumption, you may get injured in some time, then we better put helmets on babies when they're born and keep them on their heads till they die of old age. Still isn't going to save you, but I mean, that's why the public burden theory is just a bunch of trash. The best way to recognize freedom, I think, is to have it denied. And I guess being Indian, I know a little bit about that from what my grandparents have told me and the stories that have come down of having their freedoms denied. Freedoms that we sort of take for granted are beginning to slip, and if we don't want to protect them, a lot of them are going to slip. You talk to somebody in, Bosnia, talk to somebody in Somalia, talk to somebody that went through the wars, or World War II, or any of the wars in which they were actually in the ground being bombed or being shot at. Talk to them about freedom. They have a much different opinion about how you need to defend it compared to most Americans who've taken it for granted and assume it's always been there, it'll always be there, so we don't have to do anything. You do have to do something, and that is, you need to think about it every day if you want to protect it. And ask yourself, what are you doing to protect it? You just kind of going along and not worrying and not even reading the papers, not being aware of what's going on in Washington that might affect you? The helmet issue, or that's only one little part of a much bigger picture, and that's how much do Americans want to have government controlling their lives? I don't want them controlling my life.
I could smell the grimy guts of the inner city. I hated this place. Worse than the booby-trapped jungles of the Mekong Delta. At least in Nam, the enemy didn't live in your own hometown. Home stretch to hell. As my hopes dwindled, my rage increased. Then I saw her, frightened and alone. Without thinking, and to the amazement of the stunned cops, I skidded to the curb and she leapt on the bike. The night swallowed us like the deep waters of a black lake, while a single thought burned in my skull. Never again. This drive-by shooting was too damn close.
Let's twist the grip with the Hellhounds and their hit, Scooter Trash.
I got an 80-inch blockhead, a 5-speed belt driver, rigid frame, soft tailor, screaming eagle carburetor. I ain't nothing but scooter trash. I ain't nothing but a scooter trash. I ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Pull over, baby, and let me pass away. You hear my horn coming by the man on the road. Like as the liquor leads all women at home. Listen close, baby, Lord, and keep real clear. Sound of the hounds drinking all your beer. Till I pray to the church, a holiday but song. If I ain't got leather, I got nothing on. Got no moral, got no soul to say. That anyway for a boy to behave. Ain't nothing but scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Long way home and I'm almost out of gas. Larry! Easy, Lord, you don't care how I smell. Once upon a time in the land, everybody got their own band. There wasn't any. That don't bother me cause the girl had nothing but my little girl riding in my big thumper humming in. Ain't nothing but scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Pull over mama and let me pass. Well, ain't nothing but scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Call trash, we all call class, yeah. Ain't nothing but scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. If you don't dig that, you can kiss my ass. Yeah! Nothing but scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. It's a long way back to Long Beach and I'm mama that I get here. Ain't nothing but scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. What do you call trash, baby? I call class here. Ain't nothing but scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. You want to flip it over, mama? Let me put it up your wow. Ain't nothing but scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Ain't nothing but a scooter trash. Oh, mama, with the clothes that you wear and the color of your hair, you could be 13 or 103. You know, it don't matter to me.
Hold on, the next Easy Riders video is an all-out Sturgis spectacular. You'll experience an epic journey to the Black Hills. Witness all the action of this 53rd annual Biker Heaven. and slide an arm around all the luscious ladies of Sturgis. Check out a mind-blowing burnout machine. Dig into tech tips, biker news, all this plus an interview with a biking legend, some kick-ass tunes, and a new biker fantasy. Easy Riders video number 19, Sturgis Special, hits the streets in February. Don't miss it.